Hey everyone, this is Car RayRob.
Where I'm Ray.
And I'm Rob.
And we want to welcome you guys to our newest episode of Say Hello to My Little Film.
Hey there, it'll be just a little while till Ray and Rob spit their spittle. Come on, check out of the hospital. So grab some of your best peanut brittle. This will be a darn good transmittal. And say hello to my little film.
Yes, everybody, thanks again for joining us on Say Hello to My Little Film. We've made it into February. Rob, before we get into this, can you tell everybody what we're going to try and do here today?
Absolutely. What we are going to try to do is what I'm going to try to do
Yes,
is
your
I'm going
job.
to present Ray with a movie that I love in the hopes of getting him to love it as much as I do.
After two seasons, we're into the third season. There are still movies that you love that I don't know about.
There
better be.
I think I've got a whole list of movies.
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole wall of movies looking at me right now.
Absolutely. We call that our fresh perspective on a retrospective review.
That's it. So I'm interested. Usually you're pretty good in February about theming it around this month of love.
And that is going to be the case today.
I had a feeling.
It is. I can be accused of liking, maybe darker movies or, more serious movies or whatever, but I do love a good love story, and I think I've got one for you today. And it's actually really great because it gives me the opportunity to show you another movie in pretty quick succession for us of an actor that I love.
Do I love them?
Sometimes.
Oh, gosh.
And that is going to be Mr. Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yes. I'm very hit or miss on Nick Cage sometimes.
In fact, you were miss in December when we did City of Angels.
Yeah. No, not a fan necessarily there. Yeah, Nick Cage is, he's going to put it all out there, so sometimes
there's good Cage in there. There is bad Cage, but I think this is a good Cage.
Okay, well, I mean, I hope it is. I need it to be. Let's find out what Rob has to present. Rob, what do you got?
What do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
Well, what I got for you, Ray, is a movie that launched a lexicon.
Who's Alex Kahn?
No, a lexicon. Verbiage that you are going to know because it is still used to this day.
Oh, wow.
And that is the 1983 comedy Valley Girl.
Valley Girl started the phrase Valley Girl?
Well, I mean,
That's
as
sick.
if.
That's Clueless.
Well, you think that's Clueless. Wait till you see Valley
Okay.
Girl. Valley Girl is great. It is directed by Martha Coolidge, who went on to direct one of my other favorite comedies, Real Genius.
Which is great.
It is great. Valley Girl, though, stars Deborah Foreman, who you will recognize in Real Genius because she played the military contractor's daughter
Okay.
that Dr. Hathaway ends up sleeping with, and that is Deborah Foreman. And also, as I said, Nick Cage.
So is this good Nick or bad Nick? I guess
This is
I
great.
guess
This is
you're saying
great,
it's good
Nick. This is great. I don't show bad Nick. Now, granted, there's not as much bad Nick for me as maybe for you, but,
Well, yeah,
but there is definitely some bad
I'm
Nick.
asking, is this good Nick
No,
or bad
this is
Nick
good
for
Nick.
me?
This is good, Nick.
Okay.
So this is a great little story that's kind of loosely based on Romeo and Juliet, I guess. So Deborah Foreman plays a Julie Richmond, and she is a valley girl in California. Blonde hair, ditzy way of speaking, the whole nines, and she ends up kind of falling for a city punk kid played by Nick Cage, and
Named
obviously
Rome.
Say what?
Named
say
Rome.
no. His name is Tommy.
Okay, because you said it's not like Romeo and Juliet, but the girl's name is
no,
Julie.
it's not. His name's not Tommy. Sorry. That's his. His name is Randy. Sorry.
Randy and
Sorry,
Julie's
right.
not like Romeo and Juliet.
That's true. It's Julie and Randy instead
Okay.
of Romeo and Juliet. But it starts with an R.
Yeah, it's close.
Closer. But so obviously their cultures kind of collide with Valley Girls and punks. So it makes it not necessarily the most easy relationship.
Sure.
Maybe some turbulence. but it's a lot of fun. This movie holds a really special place in my heart because this episode, it's for you, as you know, all of our episodes are, but this one's actually kind of for my sister as well.
Oh.
She is 13 years older than me, and so she introduced me to things throughout the years, being that cool older sister, and Valley Girl is one of her favorite movies, and I know about it because of her.
So we know she loves it.
So we know she loves it. So it's a kind of a cool way for me to kind of ode to my sister a little bit, but also give you a fun, fresh movie for this romantic month of February that I think you just might enjoy.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
We're gonna find
That's to
out.
watch the thing, and
Yep.
so this is where Rob and I are gonna go watch the thing. So if you guys at home haven't done that in a while or ever, pause the podcast, go check out Valley Girl, come back, unpause the podcast, and hear what me and Rob have to say about this movie Rob loves that he's hoping I'm going to love too. We shall see.
We shall see.
Ray and Rob are currently watching the film. You may be also watching the film. If you're not, then you're listening to me say that Ray and Rob are watching the film. They'll be right back when they're done watching the film.
All right, everyone, we are back. We are back from the Valley, back from
Totally.
Hollywood for sure. Like, totally. You know what? Like, totally I did not remember in the before section, but
No.
I meant to mention, but after watching the movie, kind of stuck out to me as funny. You know who plays her dad?
Yes, I did notice this.
Did
This is
you
that
notice
guy
this?
from the movie you made
Frederick
me watch, One from the
Forrest.
Heart.
Yes, Frederick Forrest. He was in One from the Heart. He's back
Far
again
out.
in February. Far out, man. But the funny thing about it is every time I watch this movie for a split second, I think he's Sonny Bono.
He has bad hair.
I'm just like, but
I remember saying that in One from the Heart. He just has bad hair.
It's so weird. But you hated that movie, as you mentioned.
I disliked it. Yeah.
You did. So we got to find out if maybe you liked this movie. But you know what?
I'll reveal right now. I liked his character in this movie more than his character in One from the Heart.
Spoiler alert!
Yes.
No, there we go. No, I get that too. He was a much more likable character
Yeah.
in Valley Girl. That's not a spoiler.
I will say the parents were very young in this movie. It
They
seemed
did look young.
weirdly young.
Cool young parents.
I looked it up. Her mom was like only 8 or 9 years older than her in real life. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I know these guys were hippies, but that's crossing the line.
That's crossing the line. They were definitely trying to play her a little older.
Yeah,
I
but,
would say, like, well, maybe with a little bit with the hair.
they
and
had
stuff
to
like
be.
that.
Yeah, they weren't trying to advertise 9-year-olds having
Yeah.
babies.
But
so.
Colleen Camp is great.
Yeah.
And like I think she's great in kind of everything she's in, whether it's like a bit part or whatever. But I enjoy Colleen Camp quite a bit. But one thing this movie does have going for it that maybe One from the Heart didn't necessarily is this. It is a very classic tale.
Yeah,
It's
touching on one.
It is. Kind of brushing up against Romeo and Juliet. No tragic endings. No
And they go
tragic
see
endings.
Romeo and Juliet in this movie,
Right, which they do. And so Martha Coolidge totally kind of plays with that a little bit. But it's sometimes it's hard when you are kind of playing in that kind of sandbox of a classic tale. So many people have made this movie in different ways. So how do you differentiate yourself in this story?
Good challenge.
And did Valley Girl do it? I think it's a great question.
Should that be the question, like one of our questions for the episode?
Let's go for it.
Are we able to answer that? I think so. We
I
could
think
try
so.
it out.
Because again, it's an interesting dynamic just because it is a teen. This is very much a teen movie. Something
Sure.
I've not done before. Another reason I wanted to pick it. It was kind of like a teen, teeny bopper film, if
Sure.
you will. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna pick this movie because of that. But it is that kind of classic tale as well. So yeah, let's explore that and let's see if Valley Girl stands up to the classic tale that it is kind of riffing on.
So one thing that stands out in any movie he's in is usually Nick Cage.
I mean, always Nick Cage.
Yeah. So Romeo, I guess, in this movie.
Right, Randy. Randio and
Yeah.
Julio.
He is a punker.
He's a punker.
And I'm like, I hate punkers.
You hate punkers? I hate punkers. Punkers with green makeup, bald.
Ninja Turtles. Scrub.
But he is so young in this movie.
Yeah. He's like
so young.
Yeah, he's still like shaving his chest hair in the shape of an arrow
Right.
phase of Nick Cage's life.
So weird. This was his first film actually credited as Nicolas Cage.
Oh, really?
Before this, he went by Nick Coppola. This is only his second movie.
Yeah, I think I did look it up when we were watching. He was 19 years old. So, I mean, this
Yeah.
is as young as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of proto Nick Cage in that way. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like he had moments. He had moments where you kind of get that. You know,
It was always there. The parts of Nick Cage that are Nick Cage is
Right.
always there.
right. Yeah.
Like when he just starts screaming for no reason when driving a car. Sometimes I'm like, there's
Right.
Nick. There's a sign of the Nick that's soon to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's like, but when he like after the breakup and he's kind of like drunk and like
Yeah.
walking around like going to the club or whatever, that's when you kind of see like the
Yeah.
Nick Cage to come, and you're like, yes, that's
I see
him.
the future you budding right now.
Right? The crazy Nick Cage. But one thing about this movie, and when we're talking about a classic tale, for me, I think the one thing that makes a story like this helps differentiate it, makes it work, where people take a swing at it and doesn't work. The thing you really need is chemistry.
Sure.
So for me, I feel like Deborah Foreman and Nick Cage's chemistry works really well. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I just think the Deborah Foreman in this movie playing Julie, like she just has these eyes or something where if when
I
she
know.
looks at you, it's like she's madly in love with that person.
And
Like
that
she
smile,
really is.
She knows how to like kind of grow the smile.
Yeah.
Like coyly. It's so good. Like that first at the party when you're like looking across the room at each other, and like she just kind of half looks at him and smiles, and like it's so good.
Yeah, her eyes are so expressive that I feel like she just like sinks you in. Like this girl is madly in love. I'm
Right.
not sure why yet. It's like a love at first sight thing, which is
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
But it's like she is madly in love with this dude, and she even kind of says like, I don't know. I just feel like we're linked. I'm like, it looks to me like your eyes are absolutely linked together. Like she just has this penetrating glare.
Yeah.
Which is in a great way, in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the way they do the first time they see each other is on the beach, which
Mhm.
is so one thing that I will definitely say as we're talking about this movie is there's so much nuance to Valley Girl that I think is underappreciated.
Okay.
And it's kind of like just the nuance of social interaction,
Yeah.
if you will. So they're on the beach. She's with all of her friends. They're looking at boys, talking about parties, all these things. And then they see Nick Cage coming out of the water. He's just wearing his swim trunks
Yep.
and his V
Yes.
chest hair, as you said. But and they're all like drooling over
Who's
him.
this guy?
Right. They're all drooling over him. And it's because on the beach, like, he's stripped bare, if you
Right.
will. Like
He's in his rawest form.
Right.
You can't tell he's got red hair or whatever the little
Right.
thing that kind of sets him apart
Sure.
when he's drying
or his
off.
clothes.
Right.
And
right.
I think, and that's kind of like one of the big things about this movie. There is like that shallow nature, obviously, of the Valley Girl stereotype that they kind of
high
dissect.
school life in
And,
general.
and fair, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely true, and that's absolutely true. The high school life in general, and so in this scene where all they see is this guy who's got a nice body. He seems cute from however distance they
Yeah.
are away from him, and they're all fawning over him. But then when he shows up later, like at the
With
party
clothes on.
with clothes on, oh God, why would I want to talk to that guy? No, he's a
Right.
punker. Like they don't say punker, but
Yeah.
they should. And it's like, so yeah, it's those nuances I think that are so effective in this movie.
Yeah, and that's, I think, there you go, is something that you're going to need to set yourself apart. You're going to have some nuance in these
Yeah.
kind of movies. I really like the idea too of this, like the Valley compared to, I don't know, Hollywood, I guess,
it's
or whatever
Hollywood,
Nick
yeah.
is supposed to.
Hollyweird, as they would
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, so I like that they found a way to kind of make that classic story, like the two families that hate each other, but do it more, I guess, regionally, or if that's
Yeah.
the right way to describe it. But these two like types of people, these generalizations of people that live in these two areas, I thought was a kind of a nice way to differentiate the story as well.
Yeah. And so you get also the classic setup. She's broken up with this former boyfriend who's a total jerk, and she just kind of
Johnny.
moved on, and he's like, I don't want to, be a part
Not
of.
Tom. Is it Johnny or
It's
Tommy?
Tommy. It's Tommy in this,
sorry.
but you're right. It's Johnny. But again,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Karate Kid, same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the same kind of situation.
Same archetype.
Right, same archetype, exactly.
Should have been
100%.
Zapka.
Everything should be Zapka. But, so you've got this guy who is clearly kind of insufferable.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Like, he's pretty much insufferable from the word go. And so she's looking for something new.
She's bored. She says, like, he doesn't call her. Like,
Right.
being in love with him is boring, so she's just over it.
Right. And then Randy and Fred end up finding their way to this party. And like you said, it's like love at first sight.
Yeah.
Which, again, very Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
And it kind of goes from there. And it's hard in some instances because, we've talked about this in previous movies where, like, you don't necessarily buy into the relationship. But as we mentioned before, I do think it's the chemistry that gets you to buy into that moment.
Yeah.
And kind of take the story forward from there.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like there's not a fight to get this relationship together. It's just magnets. They're there. They're attracted, and that's it. Now, granted, there is a fight,
right?
at the party.
Yeah. I'd say like they don't really have like this. It's not like a meet cute either, but in a way they kind of like they meet. They like totally vibe, and then they have their meet cute where he like goes. He's kicked out of the party, but he goes back, hides in the shower, and then like sneaks out. And she never thinks for 1 second she's about to be murdered by this guy that just snuck into the bathroom.
It's not weird at all. But I mean,
she's very trusting.
So real quick before we move on, it's so funny because in that bathroom, I don't know if you kind of like, people come in and out. Obviously there's people hooking up, and then there's like
people doing drugs.
Like I say, like you got the kids that are like smoking pot, and then you got kids that are literally doing coke, like in the bathroom. I'm just like, holy crap!
Holy
like,
high school party in the valley,
right? And you have to notice that though. Like it's like it's kind of hidden in the background, where it's just like it's like the third part back of the frame.
Huge bathroom too.
It is, and the way they shoot it, it's super long.
Yeah.
So it's just so effective. It's just like him, pot, coke, and you're like, oh, okay.
This party's cranking it up a notch.
It is. But and then he convinces her to leave, and she kind of enters this new world.
Yeah.
And takes her friend Stacy. There's Susie and Stacy, and I always confuse.
I hate when you're not supposed to do that, right?
When I write scripts, I hate doing that. I hate naming people the
Everybody
same
has
letter.
to have a different letter, unless you're George R.R. Martin, who gives everybody the same.
Well, when you have
name.
1.5 million characters, there's only so many letters in the alphabet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then they kind of go off on the town, and they kind of discover what's different about each other,
right?
And what's the same.
Yeah. Gosh, Nick has a quote in there that's pretty good. What was it? It was like, oh boy, it's right here. It's the way we do things that makes the difference.
Yep.
We're like, we do the same things. We go to the mall, we buy clothes, we eat.
Yeah.
It's not what we do that makes us different. It's how we do them. I like that.
Yeah, I think that scene is really impactful too, because there's, another difficulty in a story like this, especially when you're rooting for these two kids who do really like have that chemistry right off the back, is the weakness and need element of both characters.
Right.
And so for her, it's easy because she's gonna have that issue where it's like, none of her friends want her to be with Randy, and so she has to overcome that peer pressure and that that
attacked by ally over and over.
Right. But then you've got the Nick Cage character, and you don't want him to just feel like he's just the guy. Whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that there's again nuance in this scene where he is very judgmental about them. He's like, you're all f***ing programmed,
sure.
And like and stuff like that. And I think there is that there's just as much judgment on his side about her group of friends as there is vice versa. It just doesn't have, I guess, the long-term effect on the relationship that her side has.
Yeah, and I think it's great when you kind of are doing these like contrary type of people, or these living, I don't know, I guess what's the best way to say it, but these just like two completely different archetype characters, but you keep showing how similar they are to each other.
Yeah,
they're really only different in like the most like superficial ways.
Right.
And I think that's kind of true for all people. Like we're only, we seem to, we can argue about things that are we're so close to the same side, or you just kind of refuse to do that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where they start off. Where it's like, well, I just don't like the store you go to, or like there's scary people on the street that you drive on, but not on the street that I drive on.
Yeah.
But there's weird people in their neighborhood too, like that girl's mom, Mrs. Or I think she says call her Beth, but
you're talking about Susie's mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely gonna get to Susie.
Hey, she's a weirdo too, though. In the valley,
Right.
She wants to hook up with her daughter's not boyfriend, but who she wants to become her boyfriend.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's jumping ahead of maybe a little bit, it's something that this movie also does in certain regards is subvert certain expectation, especially from like a teen sex quote unquote comedy from that time. Because you're right, like that setup is 100% built for him to hook up with her mom.
Right.
And her to walk in on it at some point and have
daughter,
this big, the daughter, have Susie walk in on it. And like, it's tailor made, it's built for that. And then they don't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that is, again, one of those nuances about Valley Girl that's so interesting, where it takes that and it's like, no, the daughter wins this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if there is a, quote unquote battle going on, she wins it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, it's really interesting and great.
Well, it almost makes you replay every scene. What was his name? Skip? Skip?
Yeah.
Almost makes you replay every scene with Skip where he was like, did he always find the mom to be annoying?
Right.
Where she's like, you missing the moment. He might be in his head. Like, he doesn't really say anything like, no, I'm not, because I don't want this moment. You know what I mean? Like, and then, when he's thinking about going to the house, maybe he's really thinking about, oh, maybe her mom's there. I don't want to go in. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
Yeah, just it really makes you question how you looked at it, how you perceived it, which is the whole thing. Like how you look at sides and how you look at people and who they must like and who they must not like, or who they probably like, but you couldn't be wrong.
So there are some interesting people in this movie, and this is going to be one of them. So Susie, did you recognize Susie at all?
No.
It'd be difficult. I will give you. It would be difficult because she is Jordan in Real Genius. Mitch's love interest, the hyperkinetic genius. Yeah. That is Susie.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it is like, you wouldn't,
does not compute.
But the funny thing is once you know it, you can't unsee it. But if you don't know it,
hard
it's
to see.
Just like, it is like, it's like hiding in the bushes. You can't see it. So, yeah.
I looked up a lot of characters' IMDb's while we were watching, because I'm like, God, do I know this person from somewhere, anywhere? And I don't think I looked hers up.
Yeah. So that always kills me, because it's like, again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So every time I watch the movie, it just, because for those of you who have not seen Real Genius, number one, go watch Real Genius as soon as this episode's over. But number two, her character in it is just so the polar opposite of Susie.
Yeah.
And this character group that she's in this, that it is really a testament to how good of an actress she is.
She's got some range.
Right, exactly.
One thing I was going to mention, kind of even think about the question, how do you differentiate yourself? Or in some ways, how do you even kind of make the themes kind of cross over? But like, I think you mentioned before section about the language of this movie.
Yes, the movie that launched a vernacular.
Yeah, because obviously,
lexicon. I said lexicon, not vernacular. Lexicon.
Obviously, Shakespeare has its own kind of dialect. It's very famous.
Exactly.
So I guess not where I'm confused, but just where I don't have enough background knowledge. Like, people in the Valley did not talk like this. Is that the assumption?
Well, I think
just this made it popular.
I think they did, and again, could maybe possibly even be seen as almost parody in some regards.
The over-exaggeration.
Right, exactly.
Kind of like if we talked to like how we think Gen Alpha talks now, where we just say 6-7 all the time or something. Right. That's them saying for sure, totally.
Exactly.
Got it.
And I think that's really what it is. And I mentioned I can't remember if I mentioned Clueless in the beginning section, but it is that, you know what I mean? It's what became Clueless, so people think like, oh, Clueless is kind of what launched this. No,
right.
Like this was 12 years before. I think this was 1983, and that was 1995.
6. Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. It is 95. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 12 years.
Yeah.
Later, Clueless comes along. Kind of does the same thing. But the funny thing about Clueless is the Valley's no longer the cool place, because that, you remember, they in Clueless they go to the Val party,
Right.
so it's like that's the place. Like, ugh, I don't want to go to the Valley, God.
Yeah.
Now, but in Valley Girl, Valley's the cool place. So just it shows how like
Yeah.
the cool place moves. You never catch it. It just
Right.
keeps moving on.
I
you.
thought, speaking of Clueless, I thought the driver's ed scenes were like too similar. That I'm like, this is like Clueless must have been paying an homage to Valley
Oh,
Girl, because
sure.
they both have that driver's ed
Yep.
scene where like they're not really paying attention, they're putting their lives in danger as they gossip and
Right.
stuff, like the freeway.
Well, and in this one, the guy jumps out of the
Yeah.
car, which is hilarious. um, so I think another thing about this movie that I does do a lot to differentiate it is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So like there's always, it kind of very very much captured that kind of like pop post punk like sound of the time, like the popular post punk sound of the time. Things like the Psychedelic Furs. Uh, who else is on there? Men at Work,
Yeah.
Modern English. Like there's just all kinds of like very well known kind of songs, and it became very synonymous. Sparks is on here, which is great. The Plimsolls is on here. Like there's just a lot of that kind of sound that kind of catches the ear. And I think that's also something that kind of helps give this movie a life of its own. And I think that it's effective when a movie can take popular music and really
Fit it in.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, and not necessarily beat you over the head with it, but use it to differentiate itself in certain ways. I think we've talked about that when we did our episode about Barbed Wire and Casablanca. I talked about like those soundtracks in the '90s,
Right.
like The Crow and stuff like that kind of did that kind of thing. And I would say Valley Girl kind of did this in the '80s. Like it was that kind of thing where we kind of put together a soundtrack that really embodied the feeling of the movie.
Were these songs that were, because obviously I know many of the songs, like to me they are classics, but I'm not exactly sure when they came out. So like, did they come out with the movie? Were they already kind of like super popular?
There's some of
before?
them like Who Can It Be or Who Can It Be Now came out 2 years before the movie came
yeah.
out. It's just that you go through the list and
Yeah.
it's all various releases. So it's not like necessarily.
It wasn't like City of Angels where they got a song made for the movie
No,
that became
not
super popular.
necessarily. I don't know if any of them were specifically made. I don't think any of them were specifically made for the movie. But again, it's just they're taking these movies or these songs, bringing it in, putting it into the movie, and making it work in a way that's really iconic. In fact, I think one of the special edition DVDs of this came with the CD,
Oh yeah.
of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So again, just kind of showing you how synonymous the sound is with the movie.
You mean you can't just download it? You have to actually have a CD, and then
well,
thus
this
need
was
a CD
I
player.
think this was like in the '90s, so
Oh
like the
my
late
gosh.
'90s or something. I don't
What
know.
a
Yeah,
hassle.
or something. Maybe it was in the 2000s. I don't know. But either way, yeah. And I know we've touched on a few, but I think another thing that in a movie like this, again, classic tale, the side characters, add
Yeah.
a lot to the mosaic of the movie.
They got to be strong.
Right, and I think that they do some very interesting things with some of these characters. And again, I go back to that word nuance. I know for me, the Lauren character might be the low key the best side character in the movie.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Like there's so much to her character, and like again, kind of nuance in some of these scenes where I think some kind of dark stuff happens to her, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
But like it, not that it doesn't feel dark, because it does, but it's kind of wrapped up in this kind of bubblegum story a bit. But like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, definitely some nuance. Obviously when Tommy's broken up with Julie, he wants to hook up with Lauren.
Yeah.
And they get pretty far along.
Yeah.
But they don't go through it because she's like, "Are we gonna be dating after this?" He's like, "No, we're not gonna be dating after this."
Yeah.
So, she kind of in that moment realized she was just being used.
Yeah.
And, stood up for herself and kind of ended things.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Yeah, and this is actually, in my opinion, one of the best scenes of the movie, especially to not have either of the main characters in it, because so much happens in this scene. And again, nuance, low key, kind of like almost symbolic type stuff. So he gets her basically down to being half naked.
Yeah.
Has her bra off, shirt off, whatever, and very vulnerable. Kind of like tears in the you know kind of metaphorical sense, tears her down to this like very vulnerable state because he knows he has the power to do it. And then in that moment, like, rips the rug out from under her when it's like, oh well, does this mean we're together now? And it's like, because she genuinely would want to be,
Right.
and he doesn't. Like, he's just looking to probably really just to make Julie mad, because he would hope it would get back to her. And because even though it didn't happen, he went downstairs and said it to the guys as a typical villainous type character like this would do.
Right.
I think of Skeet Ulrich in The Craft, same kind of deal.
Yeah.
Where he just like starts, oh, we actually did sleep together even though she shut me down, that kind of thing. And she carries that weight through the rest of the movie. Like, in very, like, again, I feel like I'm just broken record, nuanced ways in all of her scenes. The secret that she's keeping.
Yeah, I kept thinking it was going to tie in more, though.
I can agree. Yeah. I can agree. This was my only complaint.
Yeah, my only complaint is I thought it was going to be like used for Julie's like real wake up call.
Yeah.
To just to get that piece of evidence and let Lauren like get it off her chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I will say the only other thing I had a little conflict there was early in the movie they kind of play her to be really promiscuous. So, I mean, I know that like doesn't mean people can use her, but it's hard for me as an audience member at first to be like, is she about this because that's kind of how she's been portrayed, or is she in a spot where that's not fair for her? That's a little tough at first as a viewer, I think, when you're watching that scene.
See, I have a different read on that. I agree that you're right that she has that box that she's kind of in, and you're right, like, you even ask, like, does she really do all the things she said she's done or something? And but the funny thing is I'm going to say this, the only reason why you think that is because she's a woman. Like, if it was a guy, I'd be like, whatever, man, he could bang all the chicks, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, no,
like, I think you just naturally have that in your head. So it's like, if Tommy was like, sleeping around with all these guys or girls, whatever.
Sure.
And it's just like,
it's the 80s,
okay,
man.
It's the 80s, man. And, I don't think you would necessarily put that on him as much as you do with Lauren. And and you're right, it is so hard for her character to break away from that. Even her last date. And this is like, it's almost like a tragedy. It's almost a tragedy for her. Because in the last scene, like, the guy just assumes that this is where this is going.
Sure.
And she doesn't want to leave the prom, like they're dancing or whatever. Like, can't we just go somewhere? Can't we just get this over with? Because this is what's happening.
Right.
And she's like, well, can't we at least like see the king and queen? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
she's stuck in a cycle.
She's stuck.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like, it's such a tragic moment for a character in this movie that you're right. It really does not get any resolution. And sometimes that does happen. Like, let's be honest in storytelling. Sometimes that happens. And she's going to be stuck. You know that when this movie ends, Lauren's going to continue to be stuck in this cycle for who knows how long, maybe her entire life. And but again, it's something that I think does make her such a standout character.
Yeah, I think kind of the point I was trying to get to is like, I almost wish that the line when Julie and Stacy, I think, were talking to each other were like, does she do all the things that people say she does? Because then you'd have this thought of her like that she doesn't do it, that she. But when you say like that she says she does, then it's like, all right, well, she's about it. Right. She likes to tell people that she does it.
Right.
Almost like the frame of reference that you would put around like the male stereo high school kid. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So, because like she could totally want to do that too. Like, she might be the type of person, well, that's okay with her,
Right.
And you just don't know that early on in the movie yet because you haven't got to meet her long enough.
Sure. But again, like, if it was Tommy saying that he did all these things with all these girls, like, would you put the same weight on him as you put on her?
What do you mean the weight, though? I don't
like I said, like the negative weight.
Well, I'm not even saying I'm not negative about it. Hey, if she wants to do it, if she wants to have sex with Tommy, then fine.
But I guess that's my point, because in that moment, in that scene, I guess. But you did say, like, it's not, that doesn't mean that she, you know what I mean, that she deserves for this to happen.
No, I just meant like totally up to before. I'm saying, like, I guess for me, up into the point where it's very clear she doesn't want to do it anymore, which is good for her.
Right.
I was just like, does she want to do this? Like, is the movie going to be about?
I see what you mean.
Is the movie going to be about her being mean to her friend and like is she that type of person? I didn't know yet.
I get it.
Yeah, I didn't know yet at that time.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you were talking about. Yeah, no. I can agree with that. Like, is she
once she gets up, you're like, oh,
right.
okay. But, totally recontextualizes the character right there.
But the funny thing is you're right, because there is that character in other movies that does do that,
right?
You know, who does go after the ex-boyfriend in whatever way, and
becomes
tries to break him part of the villain, becomes part of the villain. So that's true. I do agree with that. So that really is another mark in the subversion box that this movie kind of does as well.
Sure, yeah. When she sits up and like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. You're like, oh, okay, this is totally different. Quick little turn, and now I have like, you gain a ton of respect for her in that moment, and then you keep that respect throughout the rest of the movie. You're like, just tell her, you want to, because she says so many times like, it's very hard for me to tell you what I want to tell you right now.
Yeah,
and she never does.
Right, agreed. Let's talk a little bit about Julie's parents. We brought them up.
Super
Colin
cool.
Camp, Frederick Forrest. Yeah, I do find their portrayals really funny, because I do think this is it's such an interesting time for the flower child generation.
Sure.
This, like, 1983.
They now have their own high school kids who are doing what they made famous.
Right, exactly. So I can, you got to think that you're kind of stuck in this place where, but it's funny, because this is kind of where gentle parenting, some kind of like the cave paintings, if you will, of gentle parenting that we kind of know of today. But the sad part about it is I wonder where some of these parents like this are now. When, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they totally
get too hit too fine a point on
it.
They
right. They cowered down. They didn't stick to their laurels.
Right.
But it's like I don't know. I think it's kind of fun, because it's just like these people were probably raised with really strict parents. You know what I mean? And so like you get why that kind of that piece of it like just pops into their person, even though they 100% don't believe it. That's the right way to parent.
Right.
It's still like when your daughter's out for the first time all night and doesn't come home, even though she's got a curfew, but you trust her, and so they're like waiting up all night for her, and you would say, all right, well, they're waiting up all night, they're gonna be pretty pissed. And it's more like you could tell they're mad, but they're not gonna judge her.
Yeah.
It was a fun little balance with, like, they're literally balancing like, how do I handle this situation? And so those scenes really work.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the scene where Frederick Forrest's character is getting very nervous about prom for Julie, or just the situation in general. Like, this is her first prom. Well, we never went to ours, and like that whole thing. And then I also really liked the scene where they have the heart-to-heart, where she's like, I'd Randy or Tommy, and like his advice is good. You know what I mean? Which is also interesting, because
it's also like, I'm not going to help you here. Like,
right. Well, and also just like, you can't, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, but I think the advice that he gave her was good.
Oh, it was.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but good advice doesn't necessarily boil down to me telling you what to do.
It should be the opposite. It should be like this.
Right. You're right. Exactly. And I think that's another kind of subversion, because, a lot of times the parents
comes in with the perfect.
Well, either comes in with the perfect, or really comes in more often or not, doesn't know what the hell to say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like, so I think that's kind of a nice portrayal, if you will, of this character.
He had the right thing to say without making up her mind, or giving, or leading her one way or the other.
Right.
Really.
Right. And it's funny, because another scene that kind of has something very similar, and even maybe the movie that you could probably compare to this movie the most is Pretty in Pink. So like the scene between Molly Ringwald and Harry Dean Stanton, very much like kind of a similar thing, even though he's more of like not a deadbeat, because that sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. Like he's a little bit more of a flawed character than Frederick Forrest is. But there's a similar vibe in both of those scenes.
He does give her good advice, and like you said, it's a strong scene. Where he could use some of her advice, I think, is the health food store.
Being embarrassed about the
80s health
store.
food is like, it seems like it's not a great place. Like they should get into the Pizza Hut business. It's going to be much more profitable down the line. Time will tell.
Well, profit wise, yes, that's true. If 2026, could scream back to 1983, buy the Pizza Hut, just
Yeah.
like buy the Apple stock, it's
Right.
like that. Yeah, no, I agree. But it is funny because it does feel like, again, this industry that is in its infancy
Yeah.
at this point, because I mean, that is a cottage industry now.
Oh, sure.
I mean, those restaurants exist everywhere.
I mean, they're
And-
almost in mainstream restaurants.
Right.
It's almost the combination of them now.
Exactly. So
Well-
it's funny that it almost seems like it's like this little niche hole
Yeah.
in the wall thing.
I will say sometimes, like, I feel like the parents, I really like the two parent characters. I find them to be very genuine, and we've already kind of talked about the nuance of their characters.
Mhm.
But I do almost feel like at times the movie's like trying to make fun of them a little bit,
Sure,
even with like the
yeah.
health food store and
Sure.
stuff. Like, they're just hippies gone wild, but they're nice people. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
It's a generational thing. I
Yeah.
imagine, again, this is kind of a situation where they're like, again, there's like the flower child, they grew up, and like these are the people that are,
yeah.
it's kind
But
of
they
easy
write them
to
as
make-
good character. Like, they don't write them
Yeah.
as like they don't.
They're not necessarily parody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they just kind of poke fun of them. Like, strength taken too far is a weakness. So, like, they kind of make them the really as flowery child as they can,
Right.
but still have them be good people, I guess.
Right. I think another character that is interesting is Fred. So
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about Julie's World. Let's talk a little bit
When
about
I think of Fred, I think of
Randy.
Fred and Stacy as like, aren't they a couple?
Sure, the are they aren't they couple
Yeah.
of the movie. Yeah,
Because
I
it's
agree with that.
And it's kind of weird because Stacy, in some ways, is to me like the worst friend.
Right, she is. She absolutely
But
is.
she's also like the one I felt like was gonna fall for Fred somehow.
Yeah,
Even
and
though
did kind of at the end. Yeah, they never really like nail that one on the head.
Well, he
but
kind of
did
kisses
have-
her
Yeah,
early in the movie on the
Yes.
cheek, and she was almost kind of into it, but then she's not.
yeah.
Um,
Well, because she's very much fighting the whole,
Yeah.
like, getting out of her bubble comfort zone thing, and obviously fighting it way more than Julie ever did. So
sure.
that's the whole thing. But Fred is such like for being like kind of a borderline creep at times. Like he's kind of, there's
Hey,
something about
man.
him. He's a little charming,
He
I gotta-
asks a lot of good questions. He just doesn't get the feedback. He just doesn't
Sure.
get the ping pong of the conversation isn't there. But he's pinging a lot.
Right. That is true. And, I like, his interactions when they do go out to Hollywood, they bring the two girls
Yeah.
down to Hollywood, and like his interactions I think are genuine, and even like you said, he does seem to like Stacy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's like that funny thing where he's kind of, he's getting out of his comfort zone too.
So I did write one line down that I liked. I think it was at toward the end of when they just got out of the club or whatever, or after that first kind of date between Randy and Julie. When it's like, she's great, but she's not one of ours. Like, did
Right.
Randy say that, or is that Fred? It's their conversation.
I think Fred says that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think so too, because I like that Fred can see the good in them too. Like, Fred is almost he's not judgmental, but also knows there's a big gap here.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's hard, again, because they both come from different worlds, so
Yeah.
that is the thing. They don't necessarily harp from, I think, the punker side to the Valley Girl
Yeah.
side as much as from the Valley Girl side to the punker side.
Right.
But I think those things are still there.
Yeah. What's almost like Fred is the friend who, like, there's a huge divide here, but I think we can cross it. Where Stacy's like, there's too huge of a divide here. You can't cross this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think that's fair. And some of it's fear.
Sure.
I think Fred is a little more fearless, a little more, and you could even maybe say that is a little bit of a flaw of that is they do, it's, you, they're, I almost hesitate to say this. I'm not gonna lie. That it's almost like, it almost feels like Julie might be punching above her weight class a little bit because Randy, I like Randy, I like punker. I mean, I just naturally like punker. So you know
Sure.
what I mean. But it's like, so it's like,
I think I see that both ways.
I yes and no. Like I don't necessarily, yeah. But I guess it's just they do maybe make the downtown punker life more alluring
Yeah.
than they do the Valley Girl life. That might
Oh,
be
sure,
the only,
sure,
and that's what
yeah.
I mean. Where it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it's not like you maybe necessarily see the good in both.
Yeah.
You really for me, you really kind of do only see the good in the punker side.
Well, I mean, what the good is you can go to a club and drink.
But it's more
underage.
free. But it's more freeing. Right, right, exactly.
There's people hanging out on the street.
Right, exactly. Everybody's just kind of hanging out. Granted, I mean, he almost got his ass beat because he was drunk on the sidewalk later. But, it's life, man. It's what happens. It's life. It's the jungle out here.
I guess the beach is like the middle ground. Like, everybody's allowed to go to the beach.
Right, because all the clothes come off. And it's just like you don't know who anybody is. But, yeah, no. But, like I said, if I get nitpicky, which I'm not gonna because, again, I love this movie. But it's just a thought that crosses my mind as I watch this movie.
One thing I'll talk kind of on the Fred and Stacey thing is, while Randy is trying to win Julie back, because eventually Julie just listens to Stacey's recommendation.
Peer pressure is a great segue. Yeah,
peer pressure dumps him.
Yeah,
and then Randy kind of goes on this cute little montage of trying to get her back, and he does all these things where like when they're going to the movies, he's the movie ticket taker.
Right.
When they go to their steak and
like
Sonic type,
the burger
Sonic
joint.
Type restaurant. He's the one that delivers the food to the car and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like he's just always around, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that like maybe like how is he always there? Is it just like is the movie gonna like have a reason for this? Like there's a maybe a spy on her side who's like telling him where they're going. And I was hoping that was Stacey.
Oh, that's
but
fair.
It actually was just nothing. It was just like a cute movie thing where he was always there.
It was a convention. And the funny thing about that is you're right. Like it's so improbable, but it's also you just go with it.
Yeah, it's just a movie thing.
It's a movie thing. You go with it, right? Yeah. Especially for a movie like this. Yeah, it's just the convention.
And then even at the end, like Fred has this big idea of how he's going to get them all together.
Right.
And I have in my notes like Fred's plan, step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all I have is step 1, punch. Tommy. I'm like, okay, that was the big plan.
That was the plan.
Okay, good
Collect
plan
underpants.
Yeah.
Step 2. Step 3, profit. Like
I was like, they're at the prom and they're waiting, like they're peeking, like, all right, see what's going on. Fred, this plan better be good. It better work. It'll work. Trust me, this plan's gonna work.
Right.
All right, punch him. Okay.
It just
sounds good.
It's the most manly plan ever.
Yeah, but again, I thought again, like you were gonna see Fred's plan, like was connecting some kind of behind, like somebody on Julie's side was gonna bring them, like this was gonna all come together. And
absolutely.
But
let's talk about the peer pressure element of it, because that's another one of those differentiating factors of the story. I think that because I think they do such a good job of like kind of building that pressure. Obviously it is completely on the Julie side. Like Randy is not feeling this pressure at all, but it is really coming from the Julie side. And I think the scenes where, especially like you were saying, where Stacey starts getting very pushy about it and things like that, like the sleepover and stuff like that. Yeah. Those scenes are really effective in the way that they pick at her. They poke. And you can see it in Deborah Foreman's face. She acts it so well about how it's affecting her and like making her really reconsider what's happening, even though she knows she wants to continue seeing Randy. Right. And it's so weird that it's just like you kind of go through this situation where it's like it's us or him, and it's like, well, why? Right. And they never really like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just because it's not cool.
Right. Yeah. Just because it's not cool. Like, oh, you're standing. Like saying it's like. What does that have to do with anything? Like it's just, but again, that
doesn't have to make sense.
This is people in our 40s now, where we've like see how ridiculous this crap is. But like,
of course, when you're in it, it's the most important thing in the world. Yep. Of course,
you got to have that self-awareness.
Yeah, totally understand that. And I mean, that really is her choice. It's like you feel like if you feel like in those moments, like when you're Juliet, if you don't do what your friends say, like they're not going to be your friends anymore. If you don't have those friends, will you ever have friends again? Yeah. And, you're just too young to realize if my friends aren't going to support me, then they're not my friends to begin with. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the movie does a good job too. Like when she does make the decision to kind of dump Randy and go with Tommy, and then of course Tommy shows right up and like just starts taking her food and like just being
you can
like,
see immediately she's like, I made a huge mistake. This is Arrested Development. I made a huge mistake.
Yeah. But she's got to go with it because she's not picking Tommy over Randy. She's picking her friends over
Randy.
The potential of Randy and no friends.
Yeah. And so, since we're at this point, like I think we should talk a little bit about the breakup scene because I think it's such a great scene. Like Randy shows up, knocks on the door. She's clearly been avoiding him,
Yeah.
and it's such an emotional scene because you could tell she doesn't want to do it.
Right.
Like it's so clear that she does not want to do it. You can see the pain on her face that she doesn't want to do it, and obviously the hurt in his. And
So thank God we're allowed just to text breakups now. We don't have to actually go through that anymore.
you would do that.
Wow.
But but obviously, Randy sees right through it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like one of his whole things in the movie is how much he curses.
Sure.
And it's one of the things that like obviously she doesn't do. Like her group of friends doesn't do that. And he does.
She criticizes
right.
him or
points it out. Like,
yeah.
why do you talk like that? Why
Yeah.
do you have to talk like that? And I'm just like, what the are you talking
Right.
about? Like, but yeah, so gotta use so many curse words. But anyway, but obviously this is a scene where he really gets to let loose.
Yeah, he does.
It's your friends.
Yeah.
It's your fucking friends.
Yeah.
And like all of that. And this is where again where you kind of get to see like the Nick Cage to come.
Right.
You
He's on full blast. He's turned up to 11.
Yeah. So real quick though, before we move on, because obviously his descent is pretty interesting as well. I didn't know this on the wiki page. I read this that apparently by this point in the filming of the movie, Nick Cage and Deborah Foreman were dating,
Oh, really?
and this scene was incredibly difficult for them because they were dating.
Oh, wow.
And Martha Coolidge had to it took multiple takes, and she had to counsel them through it because they were having such a hard time doing it because they were actually dating.
Well, I feel like whenever they did break up in real life, they should have just done this scene again.
Right. That
done
would be
it for
hilarious.
real.
Oh my god, that would really be a funny scene
Yeah.
in a movie if two
That you
about two
interjected.
actors.
Special
yeah.
edition.
That'd be just like another movie about like two actors who
Yeah.
met on a scene in a movie and like they had a breakup scene in the movie and then in real life when they break up they just do the
Yeah.
same scene.
God
That'd be
willing,
hilarious.
Tom Holland and Zendaya can maybe do that in Spider-Man 6. We don't know. Let's
maybe.
fingers crossed.
Maybe.
But yeah, that's when he's screaming your friends are doing this. I do wish maybe more of their dates were around their friends so you could see their friends interact with him more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think they don't. But I don't think that would have
better.
worked because
Yeah.
I don't think. I think they needed to not really know him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole thing. So that montage of dates, I think, is so great and so effective because it kind of shows their relationship growing and how
Right.
in sync they are. I think if her friends were there, they might see that too, and then that could have won them over, and then you don't have a movie. But
Sure, exactly. And I guess maybe that's what I think about is because in real life we all have those friends where once they get a girlfriend, they stopped talking to you and never hung out with you until they broke up with their girlfriend. So you
right.
you force your friends to not like your girlfriend because of that because
Yeah.
you're well, you're just when you're around, he never hangs out with us anymore. So I kind of got a little of that from Deborah's character, from Julie. So their friends are kind of justified a little bit in that way. Well, you only hang out with us when you're not dating somebody.
Sure.
So so
that's fair.
You know what I mean? So I almost kind of wish their friends could be we see he's cool.
Yeah.
But we still reject. We're we see he's a nice person,
Right.
but we still reject him because he's not cool enough.
Yeah. Well, I think they don't. And to be fair, I do think that even they don't necessarily badmouth him in that way,
Right.
per se. Even when they're pressuring her, it is mostly just you're killing your social status by doing this. And I think so. They're not necessarily attacking his character.
It's even more shallow than that.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about the beach and the not beach. It's just that it is that shallow. It's clothes or no clothes. There's clothes on, I don't like them. Clothes off, it's great.
Right.
So it is that.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, in some ways that kind of, again, like you said, we all know in high school it's such a harder time to actually go through it. But when you're looking back, I'm then it's an easy choice. You just, if they're being that shallow, it's not about being popular. It's about loving somebody and having real connection with people. But again, when you're in high school, it is about being popular, and everything else does come second.
Absolutely. So let's talk, since they obviously, this movie has a happy ending, as they do. Let's talk a little bit about
not as all Romeo and Juliet.
That fair enough. You know what? Touche. Classic tale did
Yeah.
not tragedy, and this not that.
No, there's
But
not a
this
giant
is not
car
that.
accident at the end
This
or
is
something
not
like
that.
that.
That's fair. No, but all of these movies, especially 80s, have to have the prom scene. They have the prom scene.
Right.
What do you think of the prom scene as a part of the movie as a whole?
I mean,
I
I
know you
thought the
talked
teacher
about
was
the
funny.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, her speech, her
Yeah.
king and queen speech.
Yeah.
Again, funny person who's in this movie. She's Mitch's mom in Real Genius.
Oh, they all just go to Real Genius.
I know, yeah. Martha Coolidge just brought a whole bunch
we
of
go.
these people because that was like 2 years later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you crushed the scene. You deserve more work.
Right? I just have one question. Is that your real hair? I love. Oh my God, I love her in Real Genius. She's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. But yeah, she was good in this, and her, just her little dialogue.
Yeah.
Her like 10 lines of dialogue.
Right. I wanted to be queen, but I wasn't. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah. But it hits all those beats, and this is like like you said though, there's a lot of '80s movies have these things, but this is '83, so this is still kind of like
That's fair.
it's starting it.
That
you know
is
what I mean?
fair.
It's
And that's something else about Valley Girl.
Yeah, starting the precedent there. But I will say I did find the ending to be abrupt. That was one thing that is like I was like, oh, we're stopping here.
Sure.
Because like I said, Fred's plan was a bit underwhelming.
Right.
And then they just jump in the limo and leave, and they're like,
we're together.
Well,
she throws the bracelet
well, she
away.
throws the bracelet away, but it's
Right.
some
symbolic.
yeah, it just felt like, I'm like, yeah, I guess everything's resolved.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You stole Tommy's limo.
But like he didn't have a
Touche.
great speech or anything, and she didn't really say I'm sorry. She just like, you punched Tommy, I like you now again,
Right.
or I'm you or even
We fought for her, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, because it's like, he punched, like, Tommy punched him in the beginning. He clearly lost that fight, and this was like him,
yeah.
I guess, overcoming the gauntlet was to fight Tommy, so he fought Tommy.
But yeah, but then there's like, is that shallow? Like, oh, because you've proven you're strong enough now, or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, but I think part of that too isn't necessarily just you kicked Tommy's ass, so I'm with you now. I think she was never not with him.
right.
You know what I mean? I think that's really the point of it. Is she was never not with him, and like the fact that he came there, beat the crap out of Tommy, like stormed the prom, if
Yeah.
you will.
Well, Fred's plan. It was Fred's plan.
It was
wasn't his
Fred. That's
plan.
Fred. That's for Fred. Fred did him a solid. Number
Yeah.
one friend, Fred. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of what makes that work in that regard. It's just that he fought for her, and finally she was just like, I'm done with this guy
Yeah.
because he is the worst.
He sucks. Well, yeah, I know. I didn't love that. I didn't
That's
love
fair.
that because, like I said, it almost makes it look like, well, since Tommy got beat up, he's going to be less popular.
Mhm.
Now his social status is low enough where it's okay if I dump him because he's not helping my social status anymore because he got embarrassed in front of the whole school.
I mean, that's
So
one
that's
way
like
to look
a-
at
yeah,
it.
that's
I
like
mean,
a
I don't
more
necessarily
shallow
agree, but
version
I
of
do
it.
I do agree that could be a way to read it. But I don't, I don't think that is.
I just
what
wish
they're
she like
trying to
did
say.
something during the fight other than just like watch and smile. Like she's like, don't stop.
Right.
You know.
It was getting her hot and bothered.
Exactly.
Like, ooh, rippling muscles.
We are going to the Sheridan right away.
Yeah, but to be fair, like I said, at least this movie had the proper happy ending where she ends up with Randy and they take off. Unlike Pretty in Pink, where Blaine just becomes a nice guy all of a sudden, and she totally ditches Ducky. Team Ducky all the way. Andy should have ended up with Ducky. I'm saying
That's a
it here,
different
Team
podcast,
Ducky. It's a
Rob.
different podcast, but here, justice for
Yeah.
Ducky. Valley Girl gets justice for Ducky because Julie goes with Randy.
Well, this was first.
And this was first.
Yeah.
This was
So
first.
yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, I thought the ending to be abrupt. So, what did you think about the prom scene? I felt like you had a loaded question there.
No, it's again, we kind of talked about this classic tale, and like obviously there's not a prom scene in Romeo and Juliet or
Right.
something, but it is, like I said, such an archetype unto itself.
Sure.
Of 80s movies. And I can agree that as far as like a pacing goes and like some of like the bigger reveals or some of the story elements of it maybe could have gotten a little bit more bang for its buck.
Yeah.
But I think overall it did what it needed to do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It and like I said, and unless you take the shallowest version of it, which you're right, you could do,
Mhm.
where it's just like, oh man, just because he was able to kind of knock Tommy off of his social status or whatever by kicking the crap out of him on stage in front of everybody. Now I don't want to be with him anymore. But I don't think she
never
ever wanted to be.
did.
She never wanted to be with him, so I don't buy that. But yeah, I think Fred's probably the best part of the prom scene
Yeah.
because it is like you said, where it's like, Randy's like, "What are you doing? What are we doing? I
Yeah.
just can't just stand here." And like every time he's like looking out from behind the
Tommy
curtain
would
at the
kiss her
wrong
or
time, or
something.
right, and look at the wrong. It's like, "Oh God!"
This
And,
is Kelly,
and Fred's like, "Just I got it, man. I got it." And then like like you said, it was a bit underwhelming, but I think he sold it well enough that I didn't necessarily mind
Yeah.
that his plan was kind of moronic.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, he switched it. So when she announces King and Queen, it's gonna say Randy and Jewel. No, that didn't happen either.
Right.
I'm like, we're running out of time here, Fred. What is your plan?
Yeah.
But yeah. But Fred's a good friend. He's a good friend. So whether he had a plan or not, he pretended he did to give Randy the confidence to go into that hall and win his girl.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've gone through a lot of ways of how we feel. I feel for sure how Valley Girl differentiates itself from the classic tale that it is kind of basing
Mhm.
itself on, riffing on. I think you. I don't know if you agree with a lot of these reasons that they are effective.
Yeah, I think so. And separating itself for sure. I mean, when you
Yeah.
don't kill the two leads at the end, like that's definitely going your own way,
Right.
Which is in a good way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But even just beyond like just singularly Romeo and Juliet,
Sure.
this idea of like these two quote unquote
Opposing
warring
sides,
factions,
yeah.
right? Yeah, like these two groups of people that you're not allowed to be a part of,
Right.
That
movie with a lot of snapping isn't that the same thing?
West Side Story,
Yes.
exactly. West Side Story, 100%. So yeah, exactly. There is, I think it does do quite a bit in my mind to differentiate itself. And how do you feel? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think it like there's some cool things like again, I don't know 100% these were on purpose, but like the language, like almost using their own language,
Right.
like a Shakespearean language, again
Right.
tying into Romeo and Juliet. I thought was cool, but again, it was different because obviously this movie was made way later, but like the Leonardo DiCaprio, like the literal Romeo and Juliet
sure.
that took place in L.A.
Mhm.
I kind of got some of those vibes in
Mhm.
ways, to Valley
Yeah.
Girl. Obviously, Valley Girl was made much earlier.
Oh yeah.
But you kind of you see some connections because they're kind of using L.A. as this Romeo and Juliet side. But
Yeah.
but again, like being able to, I much prefer the way Valley Girl would do it, where it's like its own thing.
Yeah.
It's not trying to like literally drop Shakespeare into the current time.
Right.
You do need these differentiations to make your movies stand out.
Yeah.
And because like I'm pretty sure Leonardo DiCaprio's Romeo and Juliet doesn't really stand out
Right.
at the end of the day.
Right.
It's kind of forgotten. Good. But Valley Girl hasn't been.
Right. And it's funny how many of these types of movies really are based on things like that. Like even Clueless. Like Clueless is loosely based on Jane Austen's Emma.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's funny how a lot of these like teen stories like this are based on these classic novels, and they find these ways to, like I said, kind of differentiate themselves, put them into the times that they're made in, and and be very effective while doing it.
Yeah.
But I will say with Valley Girl, there is a remake, and I don't plan on watching it.
Well, I might make you. What if I watch it? I say I love it,
I mean,
and then I present it. You have
if you
to.
do that,
That's
this is
just-
going to be an episode nobody's going to want to miss.
No, we would never break the
Right.
rules of the podcast out of spite.
Absolutely. But, to get to that point, we got to find out the big question
Oh.
of why we are here on Say Hello to My Little Film, and that is, Ray, did you like this Valley Girl, and would you recommend it?
1983 Valley Girl.
1983 Valley Girl.
I think if I have to be honest, I would say that yes, I did like Valley Girl, 1983. I thought the
Wow.
third act did kind of like, I didn't love the third act,
Sure.
but I thought there was there was more than enough in the first two acts that made me have a good time watching the movie. Like you
Yeah.
said, like when you have a movie where like it's kind of like Clueless, like you just like listening to them speak
Right.
because they're talking kind of like almost everything they say is kind of funny.
Right.
That's intriguing.
Tripendicular, man.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Music was good.
Yeah.
Kind of keeps you going. There's kind of like they have quite a few bit of montages in the movie, but they're really short and almost they don't feel like a montage until you're like I was almost got to like the end of a song. I'm like, oh wait, that was a montage, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it felt like a lot of little scenes put together, but I'm like, well, that is what a montage is. But
Right.
but it worked. It like, kind of felt more smooth and stuff. Like you said, some of the side characters, like Lauren, was really interesting
Yeah.
throughout, as we had mentioned. The Skip and Beth thing I thought was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Again, to me, kind of showing that there's weird people in the valley too, like in the
Right.
good side of the neighborhood too.
Sure.
It's not all just like perfect over here. Um, you know, Johnny's just your classic '80s idiot.
Tommy.
Tommy, God,
I
you
get
know
it.
why I
I
keep saying
get it.
Johnny? Honestly, this is
Because
why.
he kind of looks like Zach.
It's not actually even that. It was because that when they're at the prom and there's the band, which is
Oh,
totally
Johnny, are you queer?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I kept thinking like, oh, wait, again, this was Fred's plan. He's making them sing a song about
Right.
Johnny, who's not Johnny. His name is actually Tommy. But
Right.
yeah, so I'm like, no, that wasn't his plan. That was just a weird song that
Yeah.
I guess existed back then.
Yeah, it
Obviously,
did.
it meant queer. Probably just meant weird because
No, it didn't.
they say weird a lot in the song too.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like LGBTQ like
Oh.
connotations in the song, the movements
Oh.
that the band's doing. Yeah, no, it means exactly what it means.
Okay, well, it's pretty.
Which it's kind of like a song that you're like, did it age well? But you know what? 100% I could see the LGBTQ community taking Johnny Are You Queer as a song and making it like a TikTok thing
Sure.
where you're like bringing it, like we're taking it back.
Sure.
We're taking it back. But to be fair, I don't necessarily know if whoever wrote the song meant it in a derogatory way.
I don't
know what
either.
mean? It could
I
be
mean,
like a tongue-in-cheek way, like not necessarily a derogatory way.
like I said,
but-
I didn't listen. I wasn't overly listening to the lyrics. I just know I did hear them say "you're so weird" a couple times. So I was like, oh, they just must be using queer as the the simile for the word weird. But
right. The
or maybe
original term.
yeah, well, exactly. But maybe it wasn't.
Nope, it's not. I can tell you 100% that it's not. But it's like I said, I could see it taking it back.
Anyway, long story short, that I thought that song was directed at Tommy, which was making me think his name was Johnny, and because I wrote Tommy all throughout my notes till the very end of that song that I actually for the first time misdid my note. That song like broke in my head. Anyway, either way, but yeah, so for a lot of those reasons, I thought the movie was good, and really my only complaint at the end is like Fred's plan sucks, and the ending was abrupt. But it did everything it needed to do, and like, all right, those little two critiques, probably nitpicky, definitely gonna not be enough to make me say that I didn't have a good time with this movie, because I did. So, like I said, totally worth checking out. Really fun. I do recommend this to other people.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, it was something fun. It was something different. It was a type of movie I hadn't done before.
Fits February perfectly.
February. I love it. And as I said, this is really an ode to my sister. This is one of my sister's favorite movies as a kid. To this day, when I say as a kid, it's still to this day, because she was a teenager at this time. She wasn't
Right.
a Valley girl, but she was a teenager at this time. So obviously, it means a
Well-
lot to her, and that's how movies work. You hand them down, and my cool older sister handed this movie down to me, and now I am handing it to you, my brother from another mother.
Thank you very much.
Well, Ray, I'm super glad you liked Valley Girl. I liked Valley Girl, but now, before we go, I gotta know, is there anything else you've been watching that you might recommend to everybody?
Well, recommend or not recommend.
Oh, there you go.
I've definitely
Either
been
way.
watching some stuff. A lot of docs, but so I'll start off with I watched that Mel Brooks doc, The 99-Year-Old Man.
Oh, sure.
It was great.
I can see
I think it was about 3 hours. It was broken up into 2 parts,
Mm-hmm.
just covering Mel Brooks' life. And the dude's 99 years old, so there's a lot to cover.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and he's
Directing Spaceballs too.
directing Spaceballs too, and
Right.
they're trying to start some other stuff to make some legacy sequels for.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just gotta keep it going, man. You know what I mean?
As long as he's alive, he's
Yeah.
gonna go.
Well, I think they did something like History of the World Part 2. I don't know if
Mhm.
it went to theaters, but
Yeah.
some other stuff. But yeah, so it was really good. Just kind of see his mind go. He's still pretty funny, but to kind of be more serious and reminiscent. And
Right.
I really had gaps in my learning about like the whole like the Elephant Man stuff.
Mhm.
That he was behind, his studio, whatever was behind it, and he kind
Oh,
of
sure.
launches David Lynch.
Yeah.
So David Lynch is in it, kind of just thanking Mel Brooks a lot and
Oh,
stuff.
man,
So it's
that's
super
kinda
cool.
sad.
Yeah,
Because Mel Brooks outlived David Lynch.
Yeah.
That's super sad.
exactly. Well, that's just a testament to
Right.
Mel Brooks.
Fair
Well, his
enough.
mom lived in '92, he said. So it's the genes. It's
Oh,
genes.
that's fair. There
So-
you go.
But yeah, so I watched that. That was great. Highly recommend that. I watched the Smashing
It's
Machine.
a smashing machine.
The Smashing Machine with
You're drunk, sir.
Dwayne
You're
Johnson
drunk.
and Emily Blunt.
The Rock? I don't know
Yeah.
any Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I do not recommend this movie.
No?
No, I did not really enjoy
I
it at
didn't
all.
say you don't recommend Dwayne Johnson.
No, the movie. I don't recommend the movie. It just was like, first of all, it's weird. Like, I'm midway through, I'm like, everybody's talking about how much The Rock was challenging himself, and he's just wrestling in this. I mean,
Sure.
he's just playing a guy who's, he's fake fighting, which is what he does. Like, he's
Mhm.
obviously looks like it's supposed to be real fighting, but it's
Right.
like he's not really pushing himself all that far.
Mhm.
Just feels like he's a quieter version of maybe who he is in movies.
Mhm.
Like he's not. There's not really a ton of scenes that would challenge him. I know everybody said like, oh, he's gonna win an Oscar for this. I'm like, he doesn't not even sniffing that.
Right.
And then just like the movie just is really unfocused. Like I don't know
Uh-huh.
like what themes it's really going for.
Mhm.
And there's like a pretty big like fight between him and Emily Blunt late in the movie, and I'm like, I don't know whose side I'm even supposed to be on in this fight. Like I don't know.
You're both kind of insufferable.
Yeah, they are, and they both are like equally like toxic to each other. So it's like, what am I watching this for? It just felt unfocused. Like I wasn't sure what they were trying to get to. Sometimes it looked like they would just take a right hand turn for no reason and stuff.
Well, it's super interesting because so you got the Smashing Machine with Benny Safdie, and then you've got Marty Supreme that's directed by Josh Safdie. Like the Safdie brothers broke up and each directed a movie, and it's like, who's gonna get the Oscar? It does seem like Marty Supreme might have a better chance.
I think so.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things.
Yeah. Then some other docs. Watched that Stranger Things doc.
I watched that too. Yeah.
That was kind of interesting. It's funny because like some of the stuff that season 5 got criticized for, they kind of address, but they don't really like give great answers for. Like
Sure.
there was one point when they're like, yeah, well, I mean, there's got to be demigorgons in the abyss, right? It'll be weird if there aren't. And in season 5, there just aren't.
Right.
They don't explain how like why there aren't.
Decided
So
with not,
they
yeah.
just talked about like, yeah, this is a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they talked about the choice to not kill everybody and stuff. So like or kill anybody really. So it was like stuff that was on their mind,
Yeah.
and they just kind of found ways to get through it. And
I appreciated the kind of
appreciated it
in-depth
a lot.
look at the production itself.
Yeah.
Like how much was practical and like how like really the craftsmanship that went into the last season.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really great. I thought it really kind of highlighted the chemistry amongst all of the cast. It's like on and off screen, which I thought was really great.
Really cool.
I appreciated their process and
Yeah.
just like them as filmmakers. They seemed very like warm as filmmakers, like able to connect with everybody on set and make it feel like a team effort.
Really good collaborators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then, but I also feel like, man, it's just like I think some of the practices that we have right now in movie making and show making is like you should not be starting the filming of the season without
a
completed
script.
scripts.
I know, that was
like,
insane to me. I'm just like, what?
And I know everybody's like, well, it takes too long in between seasons. I'm like, yeah, I get that too. Like, and we didn't want the kids to age out, so we do want to get them done. But it's like, you should not be starting. And this is like an issue that I think like Marvel has, or had at least. Hopefully they are fixing it. But it's like, you cannot start stuff without completed scripts. You can't jump into sequels without completed scripts. You gotta give the writers time to find something good. And then the last thing I watched was Unreal Season 2, that WWE show. And so I know we talked about that when we watched Season 1, and I kind of feel the same way about Season 2.
Right.
Not really enough of what I like, and when it is, or what I wanted the show to be, and when it is what I want the show to be, like really showing the writers' room and stuff, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, this is
it's like
not
the worst
functional.
Of the writers' room. Yeah, no, I can agree with that 100%, especially because it revolved around, I think, one of their most talented wrestlers, which is Chelsea Green. Justice for Chelsea Green. I have seen a lot of online backlash for like Michael Hayes because he was like, oh, what do you? She's not. You don't want her to be, like a Charlotte Flair or whatever.
You
like,
do.
why do you not? Like that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life.
She's
like,
as talented as anybody they have.
Right, and then she has, they have this great episode with Penta, and talking about like the talent of Penta, and then they reference a match that he had with Chelsea Green, like a mixed gender match, but before they were in WWE or whatever, and it was just like this insane match, and you're like, so in the same episode you're talking about how like Chelsea Green isn't like main event material, talking about an amazing match she had with Penta. I'm just like, this makes no sense to me. It was so infuriating.
There's a lot of things that they just kind of say that doesn't seem like it makes sense, and it just seems like they, do they know how to, I think they do a good job of like how they put matches together. Like I'm impressed with all that kind of stuff when they show that and stuff. But there's just some stuff like, oh man, you guys are like really outdated here.
Yeah, the one thing that constantly sticks out to me, and my wife kind of mentioned the same thing because she's a boss at her work, so like it's she's very much into like leadership and things like that, and she does she really mentioned it too about how good of a collaborative leader Triple H is.
Sure.
Paul Levesque. like he really like he has a great style when people come to him with ideas,
Yeah.
and like it's kind of like a yes and situation. So it's
Mhm.
like he really makes it feel collaborative, and he typically is able to make their like continue their idea and make it even a little bit better. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
like and so kind of keeping that team process together. So it's she was really kind of impressed with that, and I feel like I kind of am too. And those little snippets that you see. Now, granted, how much of this is staged? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is, but you know what I mean? You always
Yeah.
kind of go in with that side eye a little bit too, because I mean, that is what this profession is as
Sure.
well. So,
Yeah, because it
but
does
I
kind of.
tend to believe it's
Yeah.
true, though. I tend
And
to
some of
believe
those
it's true.
great moments where he's doing that, though, it's like the day of the show. So it's almost like,
Right.
man, it's the day of the show, and you're like, well, how do we want the ending to go? I'm like, I want you to already have known this. If it's like
Right.
that, if it's going to really go off without a hitch and be as best as it could be, you probably should already plan this out. But,
Definitely.
but I know they got a lot of shows to plan because TKO was killing them. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I've been watching. What about you?
I've watched actually a slew of really fun things.
Ooh, slew.
I watched Queens of the Dead, which is George A. Romero's daughter Tina's debut feature.
Yeah.
It's a really funny zombie comedy, very much in the vein of her father, but it's all about kind of like a drag queen club, and it kind of all centers around that. And there's a lot of really great themes in it of like finding yourself and being comfortable in your own shoes and who you are and stuff like that. And
Cool.
I think it's a really fun movie, and they're able to kind of even with it kind of being very campy, they were really able to hit some really good emotional beats
Yeah.
in the movie that I was kind of like taken aback almost. I'm like, oh wow, like this is
Yeah.
actually really great.
Camp works when you do it on purpose.
It is, and it can be, and then when you use it effectively, and she 100% did. I highly recommend Queens of the Dead. The next thing I watched is, I have it on my list, Caught Stealing, the new, oh crap, why is my mind going blank?
Cannot save you here. I'm not sure.
Darren Aronofsky, the new Darren Aronofsky film, which Austin Butler, who's kind of having a moment still, like
Yeah.
even post Elvis, is still having a moment, and I really appreciated Caught Stealing because it felt like those kind of like late '90s action-y type fun movies, kind of like Go. You remember that movie Go?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that kind of vibe, and so it's a heist kind of crime thriller movie, a little bit of black comedy as well. It's got a killer cast: Regina King, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, just really,
Go
really
on and
great
on
stuff.
and
Yeah,
on.
and there's more. There's even more. But it's got a really great soundtrack by one of my favorite bands, Idols. It's a really fun movie, but it's a lot darker than the trailer made it seem. So that was a little jarring.
Okay.
Like, but not in a bad way per se, but it was like the trailer made it feel like it had, again, that kind of like fun '90s action-y type stuff, but it ended up being a little heavier than what I kind of felt like we're expecting going into
Sure.
it. But I do recommend that as well. Let's see. And of course, we watched The Running Man, which is
Ooh.
the new Running Man. Edgar Wright, who I do love, is
Of
one of my
course.
favorite directors.
Got a Baby Driver posters right behind you.
I do. I have a Baby Driver poster right behind me. I will admit I am a big Stephen King fan, but I had never actually read The Running Man. That's because it's one of the Bachman books, and I never actually have read that one. I have read The Long Walk, but I haven't read The Running Man. So I only, my real frame of reference is the Schwarzenegger original, and
Sure.
it's definitely 100% a better representation, I feel like, than the original, which I grew up with. But I do think he was able to kind of capitalize on making it better than the original. I still think it was kind of it was pretty good. I think there was some stuff in it that was kind of like okay, like wasn't my favorite Edgar Wright movie. It would probably be, in my mind, lesser Edgar Wright comparatively. But it's still a fun movie. Michael Cera's in it for like a hot minute, and he's super great in it. He's actually one of the best parts of the whole movie.
Not
he's really not in
there.
it very. That's fair, but he's not in it super long. But Josh Brolin is in it, who I'm a big fan of as well. Just a lot of little great cameos in there from some bigger named actors, which I thought were pretty great.
Super cool.
So I do recommend it. It's fun, especially like on a Friday night, But the big one, and this goes back to our own show here, is I watched the new Addams Family movie, Mother of Flies.
Yes.
And I highly, highly recommend Mother of Flies. It's a great movie, kind of about the hope in the throes of terminal illness. and and again, it's really the Addams family at the height of their powers. Like, they still are able to really capture mood so well, just like they did in The Deeper You Dig. So if you have not seen that,
Which
go check that as
we
well.
reviewed.
But we
or
reviewed
we
The Deeper
talked
You
about.
Dig. Yep. And but you know, all of them are in it. Toby Poser, the two daughters, Lulu uh, and Zelda,
Oh yes, Zelda.
and of course John Adams as well. So it's mainly just the four of them, but there is a little parts here and there. But again, it's just their ability to capture mood, and it's very much the same kind of northern New York kind of scenery, very much like a witchy kind of horror film. But highly recommended. It's probably it's up
their best
there. I
work?
don't know if it's their best, but it'd be hard. I love Hellbender and I love The Deeper You Dig, but this one's up there. This one I highly recommend Mother of Flies.
All right, Rob. Well, that wraps up our conversation on Valley Girl. We are done, but the audience is not. And they have something left to do. And just like Nick Cage and Valley Girl, they know why. They know why I'm saying they have something left to do. And it's not their friends, it's them. They have to like this podcast. They have to subscribe to this podcast. They have to leave us a review. If they leave us a 5-star review, we're going to read it live on air someday. They can reach out to us at Gmail, at carrayrob@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Blue Sky at Car RayRob.
Absolutely. You can now also find us on Instagram and Facebook. I can't even believe it. I don't know how we finally made it into the modern age. If there is a
Hope and prayer.
exactly. If there's a comment section on whatever platform you're on, by all means, let us know what you thought of Valley Girl. Did you love it as much as I did? As much as Ray did? We want to hear about
Team
it.
Tommy or Team Randy?
Oh, man, I don't think you're going to have no Team Tommies. If there's a Team Tommy, you are banned. I'm just kidding.
Have that be a lengthy post to explain that one.
Exactly. We will be back next week with this month's episode of A Copy of a Copy, where I'm excited to say we are going to be watching the original Sabrina as well as the remake.
I'm excited too.
I think I've seen the remake once, and I love the original is one of my favorite like romantic movies of all time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very interesting episode in that regard.
Why did they do it? We
Right.
will discuss.
Exactly. We will be back in 2 weeks with our next episode of Say Hello to My Little Film, where it will be back to Ray.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see what he's gonna follow up fail safe with.
You will remain curious. I'm not telling.
Okay, fair enough. But at the end of the month, we will be having this month's episode of Hello Movies, My Old Friend, where Ray and I will be revisiting the classic romantic comedy, still in the season, Doc Hollywood.
Michael J. Fox.
With Michael J. Fox. I love this era of Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah,
I really
this was
do.
the best.
So I'm very much looking forward to revisiting this movie. But you are not going to want to miss a single episode. But until then, this is Car RayRob.
Where I'm Ray.
And I'm Rob. And remember, be defined by the films you love, not the ones you hate.
Hey there, it'll be just a little while till Ray and Rob spit their spittle. Come on, check out of the hospital. So grab some of your best peanut brittle. This will be a darn good transmittal. And say hello to my little film.
Hey everybody, Ray here. Want to give you guys a sneak peek about what I'm going to be presenting to Rob in a couple weeks. When it's my turn, I'm going to show Rob the 1971 TV movie, the first time we've done a TV movie, Brian's Song. Brian's Song was released in theaters after it debuted on TV and like overseas, so it does count as a real movie, people. But it stars James Caan, Billy D. Williams, based on the true story of Brian Piccolo and Gail Sayers and their friendship, and it's just a great movie about friendship, overcoming adversity, and all that stuff. So I want Rob to see it, and he's going to in 2 weeks.